Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pip and we are here for the DevStream number 2 roundup for 7 Days to Die version 1.0. So this time around the DevStream started off a lot smoother. We had Latham and Richard and Joel Huenick talking about the new features and updates for version 1.0. Without much fanfare, Richard announced the release date for 7 Days to Die version 1.0 will be June 21st, the streamer weekend. And then experimental will drop on June 24th to the public. Stable and console versions will release around July 25th. So that's all very good news for anyone waiting for the next version update. And at least now we have a date. They also mentioned that they are going to be getting new merch, possibly those zombie cop figures that we saw in the last stream. You can check out merch.thefunpimps.com to see when those drop. They also mentioned that next week they will do one more stream and that they will be gaming. So this time we didn't get to see any gameplay, but next week we will. So the first thing they showed off was random generation. Now, if you're not familiar with 7 Days to Die, random generation is a way to generate a map which has randomly placed buildings, cities, and biomes. One of the first things that we all noticed is that the burnt forest is back. We're back to earlier biomes. We have the pine forest, the burnt forest, the desert, the snow biome, and the wasteland. Now, Latham demonstrated generating a random map, and his map generated on his PC in about 42 seconds. Joel mentioned that on his PC, maps take about 45 seconds. These are 8K maps, which generally is the standard. Some people do larger, some people do smaller. That is an incredibly fast map compared to old versions of Random Gen. They also mentioned there's improved road smoothing, more wilderness POIs. You can see spawn points on maps now when you're zoomed in. They look like a little X or a small checkerboard. And then they've got a new option, which is the biome layout. You have options like a central biome with surrounding biomes. You have circle, you have center city, you have line. And Latham showed a few of those different options. They also mentioned that POIs now have a certain weight to them. The weight describes how much performance is associated with a particular building. So a large skyscraper filled with zombies, for instance, will have a heavier weight than a remnant POI, which has one zombie or something like that. So by allocating them by weight, you can put a large POI that would have performance issues in a spot surrounded by smaller POIs or even large POIs that have less weight to them. That will make the overall feel of the game more optimized. You won't have so much lag when you go into a city. One of the things that they didn't mention, but that we noticed, is there is a ready to spawn button. Those of us who start our game and while it's loading, go and get a cup of coffee, will not come back to having our character eaten by zombies. The game will pause at the ready to spawn button, allowing you to wait however long you want before you actually spawn into the game. So you can go and get that extra cup of coffee, that bowl of cereal, that bag of Doritos, that Mountain Dew, whatever floats your turtle. They say that the trader rewards were tuned. Basically, you're not going to get overpowered items from the trader, either in rewards or in items offered for sale. So you're not going to be able to jump from a tier 1 baseball bat up to a steel club, just because you happen to have a lot of money this time around. They also said that endgame seems to be coming later, maybe around day 80 or even later than that. That's going to vary, I think, for people and what people think endgame is. But at the moment, there isn't really any game-provided endgame. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. They said that you're more inclined to craft items. I think this is because you're not getting the higher quality items at the trader. And in order to get the higher quality, you need to learn how to and then craft them. Joel says everything's a little bit of a struggle. So to recap, basically everything has been balanced in some way or another. They also scaled the enemy health a little better. So it's going to be harder to kill zombies the farther into the game you get, it seems. They also fixed a party game stage bug, which I have also noticed in my multiplayer games, that sometimes things just seem too easy if you're in a group. So I guess what it was there was a bug in how the game stage for the group was calculated, and that has been fixed, and they say it should be more challenging now. They showed some armor, mentioned that the quality of the armor indicates the magnitude of the perk, and the higher quality armor gives you more protection, but also more perks. They showed some more character presets, and we have a lot more. I'm not sure if all of these are going to make it into the game, but we'll find out. The armor sets they showed off on the character presets, and also mentioned that you can mix and match, although you will not get the armor set bonus unless you're wearing the full armor set. But you will still get perks for each piece of armor. You have gloves and arms, you've got boots, you have helmets, and then you have a torso, which includes legs. So you have 4 separate pieces of armor to collect, and when you put the same type of armor together, you'll get an armor bonus of some sort. We don't really know what those are yet. They also reiterated that there are male and female variations of the armor, so not all the armor is going to be the same depending on whether your character is male or female. It might look different. For instance, the Enforcer female outfit looks a little different than the Enforcer male. Then we went into the level editor and showed off some of the new POIs. There are more than 75 brand new POIs. And then a lot of POIs have also been updated. Apparently, there are 750 distinct different locations now. Some of the POIs they showed off were a new football stadium, which is called the Navezgane Athletics Complex. There's a new theater, the Minotaur. It's for stage plays and things like that. We didn't get to really explore that one because things happen and they didn't want to show us all the new exciting ways that things are going to happen. But we did get a look at the theater seats, very nice seats. There's a new hotel, the 7 Days Suites, which is a luxury style hotel. There's the remnant skyscraper known as the Meridian Center. It's partially constructed or under construction, but construction stopped when the zombie plague occurred. Now, this is what's considered a remnant, which generally is not a questable location, but it is a location that you can explore, find loot at, and kill zombies. So they've been trying to add more remnants so that if you want to do some exploring but not necessarily have a quest tied to it, you have that option as well. There was a new army camp they showed off, the Installation Blue Ridge, which is a Tier 4. There's the Pipeline Refinery, which is another Tier 4. And Gold Rush Station, which is another Tier 4, which is also an army camp. So they mentioned improved spawning and trigger systems. I assume that's just to keep zombies from suddenly popping in when you enter a room. Then they talked about legendary weapons and tools. So you can now craft what they're calling legendary level 6 items, but you need legendary crafting components. So legendary crafting components can be had as a reward in higher tier quests, and it was implied that they may also be in loot for higher tier quests. And then there might be a very low possibility of finding them in other options, but Joel wasn't really specific about that. Now, depending on the type of item you're making and the level, you may need multiple legendary parts. Right now, it looks to be only one, but that may change. Then we got into the trader voiceovers. They have recorded over 1,200 lines, I guess primarily written by Joel. They have found unique voice actors. The returning actors are Jen and Rect, the actors who did them, but there's a new Joel, a new Hugh, and a new Bob. Hopefully, they will have more distinct voices and speech patterns. They also showed what seemed to be a subtitle option, but it wasn't quite working, so it may not be available in 1.0. So the new voiceovers for traders will include just side comments, weather comments. They're apparently going to be aware of the weather. So if it's hot or cold or rainy, they might mention that to you. They're going to give you little side stories, talk about other traders, and generally just try and fill out the lore of the world a bit. There was also a mention of additional functionality, but they didn't really specify what that was and said that it would probably be activated in a later update. Then we got to some of the fun stuff, the vehicles. They showed the new 4x4, which with mods will seat up to 6 people. The mods actually alter the way the vehicles look. So you add the gas tank mod and you suddenly have a couple of gas cans strapped to the side of your vehicle. And brake lights are now working, which I suppose if you've got a large group playing, having brake lights indicating that the vehicle in front of you is going to stop could be useful. They showed the mini bike. And the toilet seat that we saw in the conceptual art is no longer. It has been changed to a lawn chair. One of those old webbing lawn chairs that remind me of the 50s and 60s. The gyrocopter looks pretty cool and has 2 seats by default. And with mods, the motorcycle can fit 2 people. And the bicycle can take mods, but unfortunately they're not allowing more than 1 person to ride a bike. The Dew Collector no longer requires a water filter to make it work. You can build the Dew Collector, but it will only give you murky water until you put the mod for the water filter into it. There are also 2 other mods. The Gatherer, which increases the rate of water, and the Tarp, which increases the amount of water per day. So Joel was saying that in his experience, you're generally going to want 2 to 3 dew collectors per player. That includes extra water for making glue and crafting other items. So they talked about console a little bit. They're hoping that crossplay will be available with the next update. They keep saying that it's working, but that they are waiting for certification from Microsoft and Sony. So that would allow for multiplayer, for servers, co-op online. Then I mentioned that Twitch integration is native in the game, which apparently is a first. No other game has native Twitch integration. And if you want to read about the Twitch integration, go ahead and visit the 7daystoDie.com/Twitch website. Although Latham did mention that that hasn't been updated yet, so you may want to wait a little bit until next week or later to find out what's new with Twitch. Now, discounts for console owners who purchased the game previously, they are still working on them. But again, it's one of those things that they can't give us a firm yes, no, or a date on. So after that, they pretty much went into a quick Q&A. Not a lot of questions were answered, but they did get some questions done. They mentioned that there may be 2 levels of radiation that they're thinking about. They haven't implemented it yet, so it may or may not come to pass. They are not planning on any pets. Environment or weather updates are coming. They've done some controller support, gamepad improvements. So if you use a gamepad or controller, you might notice some differences for the better, one hopes. They said that mod support is going to continue, that all the new systems they're introducing are going to be moddable, or at least to some extent are moddable. They showed off a little bit of the challenge system again. Now, after the first few quests in the challenge system, which are basically learning quests or teaching quests for new players, most of the items in the challenge system tend to be accomplishments. So things like killed 50 zombies or killed 10 coyotes, that sort of thing. I'm not sure if the quest rewards for those will be anything other than just a, participation trophy, but we'll find out. They mentioned additional POI packs, potentially available for download, maybe free, maybe not. Almost all the animations were redone. The audio is being improved, and they have food models planned for future updates. They're going to keep the old alphas available on Steam for as long as possible. Then they mentioned again the world biome border has been changed. So when you start to hit the sides of the map, or the top or the bottom, you're going to get more warning that you have to turn back. And you also get more indication of where to go to get out of that biome border zone. They also mentioned environmental hazards in the wasteland they're working on. They will possibly be part of the environment/weather updates coming in. I believe that's the holiday update. But again, we will have to wait and see. Of course, there will be more information in the next dev stream, plus gameplay. And that will be on Friday, June 14th. But of course, wait for an official announcement from the Fun Pimps on their socials or on Steam. And last but not least, we'll end with Latham has a Boston Terrier named Sparky. So, yay animals. And they're going to work on getting Sparky's picture into the game like they have most of the other developer pets. So that pretty much wraps up the 2-hour dev stream. Now, of course, these are the things that I felt were important. Feel free to watch the dev stream, and if you get more out of that, great. I'll try and do another roundup next week when they do the 3rd developer stream, and we'll see what gameplay actually looks like. Thanks very much for stopping by. This is Player Pip saying have yourselves a great day.